No, I don't believe Justin Trudeau is trying to fix the housing market. I believe he's intentionally crashing it, under the guise of helping, of course. But first, let's listen to what he had to say in Vancouver this morning.
Because here in Vancouver, people have been on the front lines of the housing crisis for a long time. Prices have gone up, and I get it. BC is an amazingly great place to live. People want to live here. It's a gateway into Canada for so many people, and people around the world know that it is one of the best places on earth. I certainly agree. I've got deep family roots here, still have family who live here. I got my start as a teacher here living out in BC, so I understand how much it is a draw to be able to live in this incredibly beautiful, vibrant city and incredibly wonderful province. But with all this growth, it means that governments have to make sure that housing is getting built and getting built in the right way. And that's what our housing accelerator is all about. Today, we are extremely happy to announce that we've reached a deal with the City of Vancouver that will see over 40,000 homes built over the next decade. This deal will mean less red tape, more housing built near transit, more affordable rental housing, and more density. Homes in accessible, vibrant communities, the very places people want to live and raise their families in. Today's announcement actually brings the total number of new housing units unlocked by our housing accelerator to almost 300,000. This is well over the initial 100,000 we'd hoped to unlock when we announced the Accelerator Fund back in 2022.
So again, no, I do not believe that Justin Trudeau is trying to solve the housing crisis. I believe he's trying to invoke and create a housing crisis. Here's how you do so. First, you drown interest rates. You keep them artificially, unnaturally low for as long as you can. And then you insinuate in people's minds that they're going to stay low for a long time. That, of course, gives a signal to the potential homeowner that it is indeed time to buy a house. It's time to own a home because the cost of borrowing, the cost of mortgages are cheap. Why not purchase right now? And so people did so, would be, should be renters did so, even though they probably didn't have sufficient capital to make an understanding and balanced decision. Nevertheless, they bought the home under the pretense that it would remain cheap for a long time. Of course, that wasn't the case. That isn't the case. Interest rates, out of nowhere, apparently started to rise. And then they rose higher and higher and higher. And all of a sudden, that easy mortgage payment wasn't so easy anymore. Coupled with protracted inflation, it is now, exceptionally difficult to live. So here we have all of these individuals, all of these families who, again, probably bought outside their means because it made sense to do so, at least at the time, now swimming in debt, drowning in debt, and uncertain of what to do. They're working two jobs, if they can find two jobs, to try and keep themselves above water. They're working their hardest to make mortgage payments. That would then make a man think, well, people must be selling their homes because they can't afford them anymore. But since everyone is already swimming in debt, shouldn't it be that the homes are decreasing in price, decreasing in value? Not so, because demand for housing is still unbelievably high. Why is that? Look at the Liberal government's policies. They are trucking in thousands, no, hundreds of thousands of immigrants every single year to this country. Literally hundreds of thousands are coming into Canada every single year. And they, of course, need homes in which to live. They need places to stay. That means the demand for housing in this country is still unbelievably, unaffordably, unnaturally high. There's a huge demand for housing, for new housing, because we don't have enough as it is. So the market, accommodating this massive demand, has to keep housing prices high. It's a signal to builders that it is indeed time to build and build as fast as possible. Thus, the cost for housing in the country is still, again, demonstrably out of reach for so many individuals. Now, Trudeau says, he acts like the way to solve this housing crisis is to build more homes, tens of thousands of homes, apparently. Granted, they sound more like Soviet homes, like Soviet apartments, boring, banal, and archaic, brick, At any rate, he still says that building these homes is what's going to solve the housing crisis. But again, not so. Suppose you have a bathtub that's overflowing with water. You have two options. Either you can turn off the tap, which makes sense, which is why the government wouldn't do it, or you can try and build the bathtub larger. That takes a long time, however. You might be able to increase the size of the tub, but not before water spills out all over the floor and causes serious damage to your home. In the same way, the way to solve this housing crisis immediately is to stop the demand for new housing in the country. We have to slow the demand for new housing. Trudeau is focused on supply. He's focused on building new homes, but it doesn't take an hour to build a home. It doesn't just take a week to build a home. It takes months to build a home. All during that time, we will have all of these new individuals coming to the country, also needing places to stay. Demand is outstripping supply. We have to turn off the demand. We have to slow down the demand. We have to cease this mass immigration in the country. That's a good place to start if we actually want to solve the housing crisis. But then again, he doesn't. Trudeau doesn't want to solve the housing crisis. His goal isn't the flourishing of all Canadians. His goal isn't our economic benefit. That's not what Trudeau is in power for. No, Trudeau wants to crash the housing market based on his policies. It's clear and present that he wants to do so. Why would he want to do so? Think about it. If no man can afford a home anymore, if it's impossible for a family to live in a home without government assistance, think about how much stronger government becomes. Eventually, all Canadians pushed out of their homes they're not able to afford anymore will have to crawl to the only house left that they know they can ask for help. The House of Commons in Ottawa. And we know that our government members, our government officials, like Trudeau, will be there waiting, and ready to be so generous with all of their benefits in exchange for something little, something small. Pure and dedicated allegiance to this man.